All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Upstate Hoops Podcast on FingerLakes1.tv. Jim Sinacropi up here inside the FingerLakes1.com studio, downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And got another great show for you tonight. We were just at the Hall of Fame Classic in Waterloo. Great inaugural event, trying to bring back the old holiday tip-off, our Christmas tournament that they used to have up there in Waterloo. And Lyons won it. We're going to talk about Lyons. We saw Penn Yan play Waterloo, the tournament host. We're going to hear from Desmond Battin, Devin Franklin. And then it was also an interesting showcase game between Jamesville-Dewitt and Newark. So we saw Newark open their season. And we talked to Buddy Boeheim, Jim Boeheim's son, junior forward or guard forward. He really could play any position. For the Red Rams of Jamesville-Dewitt, coached by Waterloo grad Jeff Ike. We're going to hear from Darren Preston. He's a coach of Central Western AAU, and so he actually has been training and coaching a core group of players for the last 5 or 6 years that are now upperclassmen across the Wayne Finger Lakes. Guys like Enrique Mossman. And he told me that we've been calling him Enrique Mossman. It's Mossman. So, our bad there. Tyler Norris, Jake Mean, Nate Beard, Brian Sharp from Newark, and a host of others. So we'll hear from him. We talked to all these folks during halftime and post-game at Waterloo. We have our new power rankings. We have a new Girls Super 6 and really a lot to get to tonight. But first, I got to lead you off with our first big dunk of the year. It was by Devin Franklin. Now, he stands 5'9", maybe 5'10", but boy, he can elevate. Check this out from Saturday night in Waterloo.
He's got other aspects.
Riley Spinger has his pocket pick. Devin Franklin slams it home with the right hand.
Impressive ups. The Lions crowd loves it.
It's just 5'9". Devin Franklin elevates.
The only person not enthused
with the finish
was Zach Young.
Unfazed was Procino, though, hitting that foul line jumper. Now Franklin tries a 3-ball, buns! And the Lions faithful are on their feet. Is Devin Franklin, the microwave.
Short. And
this is how Franklin does it. He will score so many points in such a short amount of time, and then he'll go, away for a little while. Here's a look at that slam. Elevate, young fella! So that's 10 quick points for Devin.
So that was part of a first quarter outburst by Devin Franklin that pulled Lions away from Weedsport. Lions ended up going ahead and winning that whole tournament. Beat Waterloo on Friday night and Weedsport both handily. So we're going to talk a lot about Lions tonight. But first, I got to tell you about the Upstate Hoops Podcast, and all of our coverage of Wayne Finger Lakes High School basketball is brought to you thanks to the support of Generations Bank, with locations in Auburn, Farmington, Geneva, Phelps, Seneca Falls, Union Springs, and Waterloo. They're online at mygenbank.com. And by Therascar. Learn more about Therascar's benefits at 5starmedicalcorp.com. And, of course, Dr. Rod Littlejohn, delivering over 30 years of smiles with style. So first really full week of action across the Wayne Finger Lakes leagues. Started out on Monday night with Red Creek in action against Hannibal. Nick Klein had 21, but it wasn't enough. Hannibal defeats Red Creek 58-38. Miners Blue Devils really took it to Rochester Prep 75-28. Quentin Battle had 13 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Brett Anderson and Jake Jones had 10 apiece. And then Naples in action for the first time this year. Didn't go so well at Mount Morris. They lost by 23, 67-44. Zach Dormer, Cole Rathbun, 9 points apiece there. And we got to see Palmac for the first time since that sectional final at the Blue Cross that they lost to Newark. Coach Dan Harris had his team back on the court at home against Canandaigua, and Canandaigua pulls out a 56-52 win despite 16 points from Damian Wright and 21 from Hunter Vandeveld, 7-8 from the free throw line. Devin Andrews had 16 to pace the Braves. Now, we were expecting Palmac to win this game at home. We don't get to see Canandaigua as much now that they're not in the Finger Lakes leagues. But, we'll see how that affected Palmac and the power rankings coming up. Lyons was also in action with their league opener against Marion. Won that one 92-30 on Tuesday night. Justice Smith, 20 points. Corral Kelly, 19 points. Both sophomores. And Mid-Lakes traveled to Gananda. Bryce Burry against Enrique Mossman. And Mid-Lakes with a big win, 61-57. Gananda is going to be a force to contend with in Wayne County. And Mid-Lakes going to try and make good on Burry's prediction that they would win the East. Now, we talk a lot about Newark, Minders, and Palmac and Wayne this year as being competition atop the East. But Mid-Lakes, we'll see if they can make that push in to the top of the East and get into the mix for the league title. Bryce Burry had 19 points. Sean Tillman had 11. Trevor Millman had 9. For Gananda, Mossman had 12, and Jaden Tassariki had 15. World of Inquiry was at Bloomfield, where they won 84-55. Keep that score in mind in World of Inquiry, that school and that score. That was a big 29-point win at Bloomfield. Patrick Geithner had 21 points, 5 3-pointers. And now moving ahead to Wednesday night. Minders in action again against RCMCS this time, 82-47. 19 points, 14 rebounds for Jake Mean. Jake Jones had 12. Devin Anderson, 11.6 rebounds. Romulus opened up their season at home against Bradford, and they took it to overtime and won. 59-53. Cam Luskowski, 15 points. Mauricio Mercedes Rivera, 13 points. Brandon Pasamonte, 10 points, 15 big rebounds. So Romulus starts their season 1-0. Honeoye was at Avoca. Avoca came out of there with a 59-51 win. John Marble had 15 points. Johnny Vieira, 13 for the Bulldogs. East Rochester was at Williamson. That was their league opener. They won fairly handily, 61-46. Shamir Caraway, new name on that roster. 20 points to lead them. Let them in their next game, too. Then I'm going to fill you in on in just a few minutes here. Cole Lindsay, 12 points. Edwin Wynn, 10 points to pace the Williamson Marauders. And then Dundee opened up their league season at HAC and won by 20, 50-30. Bobby Strait, 16 points. Wiley Hall, 12. Jamar Paisley, 15 to lead the Wolves, which he'll probably do most every game this season. So get used to me giving you Jamar Paisley's line. So now Mid-Lakes goes to Bloomfield. Remember, World of Inquiry came out of there with a pretty easy win. Not so much for Mid-Lakes, though, but they do win in overtime, 73-69. Bryce Burry, 31 big points. Darren Carswell, 18 points, made 10 of 15 free throws. And Trevor Millman had 14. For Bloomfield, who, this is a good, they lost this game in overtime, but this was a good Mid-Lakes team. We see these East versus West matchups, and we're going to see Bloomfield also against Lyons, a Wayne County West matchup. Bloomfield didn't come out with a win, but Bloomfield, probably my favorite now to win the West. It's going to be interesting. Last year it was a three-way tie. I think it was Bloomfield, Marcus Whitman, and Naples. This year, all those teams are going to be up there, along with Dundee. West is going to be really interesting to watch when they start getting in league. But, yeah, 73-69. And Bryce Beechler had 22 for the Bombers, 15 big rebounds for Beechler. Patrick Geithner, 20 points on 3 3-pointers, and Tanner Kimball had 10. So a lot of talent on Bloomfield. They lost probably their top 5 from last year, but certainly these new guys looking to have as much or maybe more success than the last couple of years at Bloomfield. So this is now Thursday night games. Sodus was at North Rose Wolcott, and North Rose Wolcott wins 50-43. Pretty big win. We know they have Tyler Norris. It's a matter of who else is going to step up and help them win ball games because Norris can't do it by himself. And Sodus, one of those teams that we expect to win some games in Wayne County. So really pretty nice win for the Cougars and head coach Paul McIntyre. Tyler Norris, 29 points and 16 boards. He has 998 points right now. So he's next in action, I think, against Gananda. Late next week, maybe. I think that game is in. And that's at home, so he'll get his 1,000th point, most likely, in front of the home crowd. Nate Sanford, though, 8.7 rebounds, and that's just what I'm talking about. They need, and it looks like Sanford's going to be the number 2 on this Cougar team, and with him playing well, and Norris should help all his teammates be as good as they can be. North Rose Wolcott, did they sneak into the power rankings this week? Just hold on to the end of the show and we'll see. And for Sodus, Malik Burton had 8, Danny Johnson had 7 in that one. Dundee hosted Hammondsport, 145-35 on December 1st, Wednesday night. Bobby Strait, 10 points. Tyler Brace, 8. So they start 2-0. Sodus traveled to South Seneca in the Jack Guinan Arena just one day after that game at North Rose Wolcott. So they hit the road last week, and they won 65-44. Cam Davis had 12. Danny Johnson had 11. Anthony Caron had 15. John Zajac, 12 points to lead the Falcons. Marcus Whitman was at Wayne. They start out their schedule tough. They play Minders and then Wayne, 2 of the top teams in the East. And Wayne won this one 68-50. Braden Zenilovic, 15 points, 10 rebounds. Billy Thompson, 14 points, 7 assists. Nick Carmichael, 22 points, 11 rebounds. Wayne's been flying under the radar with all this Minders, Newark, Palmac talk in the East. Riley McLeod, 13 points. Nick Young, 14 for the Wildcats. And then during the Hall of Fame Classic first night on Friday night, Lyons handled Waterloo 63-36. Corral Kelly, 18.6 rebounds. Justice Smith, 14 points. Ransom Benedicts and Derek Excel, 7 apiece for the Indians. And then Weedsport, Penn Yan. I was kind of thinking Penn Yan might win this one, and we might see Penn Yan Lions in the final of that Hall of Fame Classic. But it was Weedsport, 62-52, led by 15 points from Jake O'Connor. Desmond Battin had 20 for Penn Yan. Battin would end up on the all-tournament team, along with O'Connor and Dijon from Weedsport, and Devin Franklin, Justice Smith from Lions, and the tournament MVP was Corral Kelly. Just a sophomore. Also on a Friday night, remember I told you to keep in mind that 29-point win that World of Inquiry had at Bloomfield? Well, Clyde had to travel to World of Inquiry, and that game went to 2 overtimes, and Clyde won 97-89. Now, there was a lot of hype about Clyde heading into the season. Then they play a real tough Minders team at the college, and Minders wins, and now everybody's saying, I don't know, Clyde probably not as good as we think they are. Double overtime win at World of Inquiry, a team that beat Bloomfield in their own gym by 29. 97-89. Drew Carnevale, 29 points, 12 rebounds in that one. And the Splash Brothers, Marcus and Derek, had big games. Marcus, 14.7 assists. Derek Chance goes one better than Bryce Burry's 31 that he had just the night before. 32 points, 14 of 15 free throws. So if you want to put up some points in your box score. You want to really get your line up there point-wise. Go 14 of 15 from the free throw line. That's the easiest way to score points. That's why they call it the charity stripe. But he also had 9 rebounds, 5 steals, and 4 assists. And Derek Cobb, 14 points, 9 rebounds. So huge win for Clyde. Out of league at World of Inquiry. So, still here on Friday night, Red Creek was at Gananda. This is a Wayne County game. And, we know that Red Creek was going to struggle to stay atop the Wayne County standings, but Gananda really took it to them at home, and I think that's more of a sign of how good Gananda is. I think they're the team we're overlooking in Wayne County, the same way that Wayne in the Finger Lakes East has flown under the radar. 72-41, the Blue Panthers beat Red Creek. Enrique Mossman, 17 points. Jaden Castertini, 19 points. And Justin Tamberlin, 16. So there's a lot of names here besides Mossman in these Gananda results. Nick Klein, 23 points, 4 assists for the Red Raiders. East Rochester in action on Friday night against Virtus. 71-56 victory. At home, it was Coach Mark Michaels. 300th win, so congratulations, Coach. That's a huge accomplishment. 300 high school wins. That's good stuff. Who helped him get that win? Well, his son, Casey Michael, had 18 points. Matt Cicero had 11. And remember Shamir Caraway? He had 22 again. So they don't have Butler. They don't have Gaines. But they have Shamir Caraway. So East Rochester should still be tough. We were, before Butler went and played for UPrep, I think it was, and we heard that Gaines wasn't going to be back. We kind of dropped them a little bit. They were definitely a top 5 team in our power rankings, but this Caraway, should have them contending in Wayne County just like we thought they would. Geneva was at the Eastridge tournament in Eastridge this weekend. Didn't go so well for Brian Miller's squad, but tough tournament. Northeast Douglas College Prep beat them 48-41 in the opening game. Keem Hudson had 13 points. Tyler Tyson had 15. And then the next night they played tournament host Eastridge and lost 64-51. So they're playing. They're in these games. Brian Miller's team's gonna be better, and as the year goes on, I think, and I think that they can surprise some teams in the East. That's for sure. Now the most talked about game. Leading up to the game all week was this Jamesville-Dewitt Newark game. You have Jamesville-Dewitt, which is a storied program, coached by a Waterloo grad, which is why they were there in Waterloo, Jeff Ike. Sending so many guys on to D1 schools, the most recent Tyler Kavanaugh going to Wake Forest, DeJuan Coleman going to Syracuse, but Andy Routens, Brandon Trish recently. And they're playing, their Class A team, Newark Class B, just underneath that enrollment cut line for A to B. And it's really, they're our number 1 team in the power rankings, and we're going to see how they play against one of the top teams and programs from Section 3. And it really got off to a bad start for the Reds. JD opened up a big early lead. Newark would actually close the gap, outscoring them in the second half. Taylor Clements looked good. 16 points, 10 rebounds, 2 blocks. Buddy Boeheim, Coach Jim Boeheim's one of his sons, junior at JD, had 24 points. And Coach Boeheim has another son, Jimmy, who would have been a senior on this team, but he's at a prep school now. So a couple takeaways from this. One, Newark has a kid that moved into the district named DeAndre Saunders. He's going to be a force in the Finger Lakes East to go alongside the players they already have, but he's going to be a factor. This Newark team's stronger than we thought they were going to be. One of the we voted him number 1 in the power rankings, and then we had this other kid, DeAndre Saunders, a great athlete. second biggest player on that roster besides Clements. He's going to be useful for Coach Havrilla. Also, Marcel Green D'Souza. We didn't see him in the first half of this game. JD had a guard, Darren Levitt, and he was quick to the basket, off the ball. He got by every one of the Newark defenders that they put in front of him. And then due to foul trouble, second half, in comes Marcel Green D'Souza. And this kid's quick. He was staying in front of him. It was a great defensive effort. And then he threw in 4 points on the offensive side, too. So there's another piece that we weren't so aware of that in the arsenal for Coach Havrilla. Newark Minders, Friday night on FingerLakes1.com. Dave Barnick and Matt Verke will have the call. They're going to play twice. They're going to be at home at the Arthur L. Baker Gymnasium. Minders will be. And these are the games this is why we do it. I can't wait to see how Jake Mean stacks up against Taylor Clements. And I can't wait to see how Minders handles Newark's pressure. I can't wait to see if Minders' depth, because that's one of the main things that they have an advantage over Newark. We talked about without really seeing too much from either team, but Minders should be deeper than Newark. You can argue all day about the top 5 or 6 guys from each team who's better, but one of the Minders' strengths in that discussion was their depth. So we're going to see if that plays a factor. So 7 o'clock, 7:30, 7 o'clock, probably 7 o'clock, Friday night, live on Finger Lakes 1. Can't wait. Can't wait for that. So after this JD Newark game, we talked to Buddy Boeheim, and we're going to play you that clip right now. He gives his impressions of Newark, and, it's funny because a lot of people said, oh, geez, maybe Jim Boeheim will be in the crowd watching his son play. Well, actually, North Florida was playing Syracuse in the Carrier Dome at the exact same time that JD game tipped. So pretty cool interview with Buddy Boeheim here.
Buddy Boeheim finished with 23 points on the game. Big first half, Buddy, if you could squeeze a little closer in here. You too, Mike. Come on, get in here. Big first half, came off shooting good. Now, we cover the Wayne Finger Lakes leagues out here, so it's a real treat to see you guys play. Storied program, and you guys looked great.
Thank you.
What was it like playing against this Newark team? Because this is a team we're going to see a lot of times here on Finger Lakes 1.
It was a great game. I mean, they were aggressive, which is good for us. We need to work on that, facing adversity. Don't get some calls, need to get over it, and get on defense and play hard.
Absolutely.
What'd you prepare for? Anything? Did you know anything about Newark coming in?
Yeah, we knew they could really shoot. Our coach had one of the best shooting teams in Class B everywhere in the state. So we knew we had to get out on them. They had a good big guy who could play. Yeah. All-around good player. We had to match up, double team him whenever he got it. And that's about it. It worked, though.
So you guys, last night, you played back-to-back nights. It's kind of strange to have to do that in separate events. That was what, the Pepinos
Invitational,
at OCC?
Yeah.
You guys had to come back late. And Coach Ike said that he asked you guys, are you okay with whoever scores the points as long as you win? Is that something that you guys are focusing on this year, sharing the basketball?
Yeah, definitely. I came out hot first. They were giving me the ball. Second half, I cooled off a little. Darvin was getting to the line. Matt Carlin could really shoot, so we always looked for him, and that was the plan, and it worked pretty good. So, yeah, we're definitely with that this year.
So who are the big teams you'll be facing that you think about? I know you never want to overlook any game, but who's the cream of the crop over in Syracuse?
We got CBA twice, who's our rivals. Yep. That's always a good game, no matter.
They beat you last year in the finals, right?
In the semifinals.
Oh, semis?
Yeah, we split with them in the season, and then they beat us. They took sectionals, so we definitely want revenge there. Mm-hmm. And then Bishop Woodin, the AA sectional champions there, they have their point guard back. That would definitely be a good game, always.
So what's it like playing for Coach Ike? Now, we know your father's a pretty good coach. Does he basically step aside and let Coach Ike handle you, or does he talk to Coach Ike after the games?
Yeah, he definitely helps him out. He talks to him after games. Yesterday we were getting pressed. wasn't working too well, he gave him a little option. Worked out pretty well in the second half. I mean, he helps him whenever, but Coach Ike's a great coach. He helps us a lot. He's really energetic, as you can tell, I hope, on the sideline.
Yeah. He's a little loud in that in those huddles. I was like, Chief, I hope he doesn't throw out any swear words or anything. Everybody's going to hear him.
Here you are splitting a double team.
That was a nice move
there.
Thank you.
Now, you guys handle pressure tonight. Great. Now, I talked to somebody who was at the game last night. I think you got pressed a little bit in the second quarter yesterday.
Yeah.
That's when they made their big comeback.
Yeah.
Did you make adjustments that allowed you to react better tonight?
Yes, yeah. We made an adjustment in the second half last game. Put two in the inbounds by the ball, and everyone else went long, so they couldn't stay close to us. And then we just did that this game too, and it worked out.
Yeah, your handle pressure was a nice job on that.
Thank you.
So tonight, Syracuse Orange playing Northfield. You get a score update?
No, I was gonna check right when I was checking my phone, I heard I had to come up here. So I'm praying we're winning pretty big.
Let's hope, right?
Yeah,
let's hope.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, appreciate you, buddy, for stepping in and talking to us. Great game, good start to the season.
Thank you.
Do you really have one question for you? I did a little research on. Do you really have the song "Beautiful Soul" by Jesse McCartney on your iPhone?
What are you talking about?
Oh, I did a little research.
I guess
on
so.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a big fan of him. I mean, my brother is a big fan. He went to his concert when he was younger. That's what all started. I like Bruno Mars, those kind of singers. Listen to that before games.
I just wanted clarification.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think,
it's nice
buddy,
meeting you, buddy.
Thank you. You too.
So we'll be right back. We're about 5 minutes away from the start of Penn Yan Waterloo.
Yeah, so Mike Alessio, Finger Lakes One Sport team, going the extra mile. Getting that inside information, that the fans at home want. Some might call it stalking the online profiles of high school kids, but I know he's just going the extra effort for the team. So that was a really great interview, well-spoken kid, and interesting to talk to him. I regret not asking him. I wanted to say, these teams, like Newark, that was a team that your dad played back in the day when he played for Lyons, and I wondered how much of, his father's history as a high school player that he knew about. Yeah, because, if the Upstate Hoops Podcast was going on in the 1950s, and I think it was like the late 50s, we would have been talking about Jim Boeheim and the Lions. So, interesting getting to talk to him. That game was followed in Waterloo by Penn Yan Waterloo. It's a Finger Lakes East matchup, but it won't count towards the East standings. This was the consolation game of the Hall of Fame Classic. And Penn Yan opened up a pretty big lead. Waterloo came back. Waterloo, I think, is going to struggle in the East, but they didn't give up when they got down against Penn Yan. They made a game of it late. They think they got it down to 7 with a couple minutes left, minute and a half left. But Penn Yan pulls off a 50-42 win there. Desmond Battin, 18 points, 3 rebounds to go with his 20 points the night before. That's a 38-point weekend for Battin. Dillon State was impressive too, 15 points and 7 rebounds. So the Mustangs have tools. They struggled in the half court, it seemed, and gave up some open threes on the defensive end. But Marty Gibson's squad can improve, and they have the tools to beat anybody on any given night in the Finger Lakes East. For Waterloo, it was Jarrett Benedict's 14.6 rebounds, 5 assists, and Jared Hay Snyder, 15 points and 3 rebounds. So we sat down and talked to Desmond Battin on the Dr. Rod Littlejohn Smiles with Style post-game show. After that one, we'll play you that interview right now.
Gropey here, along with Mike Alessio, and happy to have Coach Darren Preston of Central Western AAU here. Now, Darren, you
Sorry about that. That was actually Darren Preston. We're going to play that interview for you shortly. Here's Desmond Battin.
Championship game on tap here at the SPO Center in Waterloo, Lyons, Weedsport. But first, it's time for the Dr. Rod Littlejohn Smile with Style post-game show. And we're happy to have our player of the game with us from Penn Yan, Desmond Battin, up in the booth with us. Desmond, good game.
Thank you.
Congratulations, 1-1 on the weekend. And kind of weird when you got to play a league opponent, but it's not a league game, right?
Well, it's good for us to know what they're going to do when we play them in league.
Right, yeah, absolutely. And so what's your take on the Finger Lakes East this year in Penn Yan? You guys lose Sean Emerson last year, but you guys return a lot, and I know you've been working hard. I saw you play in Cortland in an AAU tournament in the spring. What do you feel about your prospects this year in the league?
We're young, but we're going to work every day, try to get better, and we'll see what we can do.
So we're about to see Weedsport, Lyons, Weedsport. You guys had a pretty good game going. They pulled away at the end. You got any thoughts on this next game?
I think it's going to be a good game, but Lyons, I think they have the edge over them.
So, Desmond, you talk about this is a young team. So what does you and Coach talk about, you being a leader on this team? What do you think some of the goals are when you look at this season, only 2 games in?
Well, Coach, he expects me to lead the team, and just if they're screwing around in practice, get on them, because we are young and they don't pay attention a lot. But he expects me and Dylan as captains to get them ready for the season and work hard.
For sure. Dylan had a great game tonight.
Yes.
Anybody else that you want to had a shout out to? I know we had Ben Emerson had another great game.
Yeah, Ben.
Bradford had a nice third quarter.
For sure. It seemed like everybody kind of chipped in at certain
that's what
time.
we need.
So would you say then that your role this year is to be the leader?
Yes.
In the locker room, especially to guide these guys to where you guys want to be?
Here we're going to look at some of your highlights. Nice look there. So Penn Yan, a lot of times everybody thinks of it as a lacrosse school, right?
Yeah.
Now, was lacrosse your first sport? Basketball your first sport?
I used to play lacrosse. I don't play it anymore.
So what's it like now?
Basketball
is your
and then football.
number one, and football as well. But trying to have a winning basketball team is
just try to get the team more in the gym than just on that lacrosse field.
Right. Well, and of course it's always tough too when you're playing in the Finger Lakes East. It's one of the tougher leagues.
Teams.
And but we'll have you again when you play Mid Lakes. We'll be there when you're in Mid Lakes, and that'll be a big.
That'll be a good one.
Both you guys, Mid Lakes, Penn Yan, are one of those teams that trying to, break out of the middle of the East into the top. So that'll be a big game.
Talk a little bit about your passing, breaking down the defense. That seemed to be a point of emphasis for you today, breaking down the first defender and then looking for guys, whether it's on the high post or low post. Is that something that you work on a lot?
Yeah, I'm always trying to get my teammates involved, and if I see them open, I'm going to hit them.
It seemed like sometimes they weren't even ready for it. You were just firing them at
how it usually is. But
it was great to watch, and really an exciting game, and looking forward to a great season for sure.
Me too.
So 18 points from Desmond Battin today, 15 from Dylan Stape as Penn Yan defeats Waterloo 50-42 in the consolation game of the Hall of Fame Classic. Desmond, thanks a lot for being with us, and good luck rest of the way.
Yep.
Thank you.
So we're going to step away, and when we come back, we'll have.
So there you have it, Desmond Battin of Penn Yan, stopping by the broadcast booth, and he's a talented player. He's quick, great passer. He's the best player on that team. You're liking it almost to a lesser degree the situation Tyler Norris is in North Rose. Seeing who else can step up. But certainly Battin has more tools at Penn Yan. He's got Dylan Stape to start with, but a lot of nice pieces there in Penn Yan. So the championship game we're going to talk about, Lyons Weedsport. A couple other games though Saturday night. Bloomfield back in action, 55-48 over Honeoye in their league opener. Bryce Beechler with 15, Geithner with 13, and Trevor Hawkins 14. Cole Loomis had 14 for the Bulldogs, along with John Marble 16, and Max Yale 21 points. And then Romulus trying to go to 2-0. They hosted Lima Christian, and they lost 73-48. Cameron Lukoski had 12. Kyle Bennett had 9. Nasir Whitley had 9. And Jason Fainer had 36 for Lima Christian. So Lyons wins the Hall of Fame Classic, and we're going to talk about it right after we hear from Devin Franklin, who was our guest on the post-game show after that win. And we showed you his dunk off the top, followed by a three-pointer. So I'm going to start calling him the microwave. And we showed him the dunk. And we'll see his reaction here during this interview.
That look. Okay. So, glad to have here on the Dr. Rod Smiles with Style post-game show our player of the game, Devin Franklin, the microwave, because you heat up and score your points in bunches. And today, you threw one down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's take a look.
First dunk?
First dunk in the game?
Yeah.
Look at that.
Bam!
There it is.
That was nice. That was nice.
The question is, when did you decide on that play, I'm going for it?
The whole time.
The whole time?
The whole time.
You did?
Yep.
On the bus ride to the gym.
Good for you. It was a nice dunk and a nice play.
Thank you.
And a great game.
So, Devin, I've got you down here for 18 points, 16 in the first half, and you really spurred that run in the first half that opened up that lead. And, you know, you're going to be counting on more scoring this year.
Yeah.
And Corral Kelly stepped up and provided some more scoring. Just tell us generally how you're feeling about this year's team.
Amazing, man. I think we're going to be really good. Really good.
And Justice Smith is just a sophomore, and Corral's a sophomore too, right? So those are two of your leading guys, and you're filling that out. Do you feel like you have to provide some senior leadership, or you feel like Justice Smith can provide that leadership even as a sophomore?
I think we kind of both do it.
Yep.
Yeah. And he does a great job. Good leader. And I'm happy to play with him. I'm happy to play with all my teammates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fun.
It seems like a team that's coming together, after maybe a little bit of a down year last year. But, do you feel that not only in your start to the year, but, what are practices like? Which are like with Coach Young? We know Coach Young. I know you guys love him. How are you guys feeling in practices? You working hard?
Yeah, we work really hard.
I was most impressed by your offensive rebounding. It was amazing. A lot of them by you. So is that something you guys work on? Is that something you guys work on? Rebounding hard?
Yeah, but I just have a high motor. I want the ball.
Yeah.
So that's why I get a lot of offensive rebounds.
So you were brought up from JVs, I think, on that team that went to Glens Falls, right? So you got to go to Glens Falls and experience all that. What did you take from that you can help bring to this team?
Confidence.
Yep.
I feel like I have a lot more confidence. And I had confidence in that one game that we played. So that's why I feel like I bring a lot of confidence.
Well, it shows out on the court, Devin, and congratulations on the tournament win, on a 4-0 start to the season. And real quick, this is your last year playing in that Clyde-Lyons rivalry, and it should be a good one. Clyde's very good. What's the outlook for that this year?
Winning. We want to win very badly.
2 weeks away.
Yep.
2 weeks away in Clyde, and then back in Lyons in another month or so after that. So, anything you want to?
No, I was just saying it was a pleasure watching you play, and it's good seeing this team. You got a lot of heart out there, so good job.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, good job, Devin, and way to throw that down. We love it.
Thank you.
We love it. So there you go, Devin Franklin.
Yeah, there you go, Devin Franklin.
We'll get Dennis back in here, and we'll.
Great kid, and just 5'9", elevating and throwing that down. That was pretty cool. Now, Lyons. I'll talk about Clyde heading into this year, and ER. But Lyons looks good. They're 4-0. They haven't had a true test. Now, when they do play Clyde, that will be a true test, but I'm so excited for that one too. So just coming up in the next 2 weeks, we have Miners Newark and Lyons Clyde. 2 games that are going to have serious league title implications in the East and Wayne County. It's going to be awesome. What the piece that we didn't know about for Lyons that's I think, taking them to that next level, Corral Kelly. He was the tournament MVP. He's a sophomore. Him and Justice Smith are just sophomores. And I know that Lions JV team's pretty good. We're about to move into a really nice stretch for Lions fans. But guys like Devin Franklin, who's a senior right now, I'm sure he'll be rooting for those teams, but I think he wants to win now while he's there. And I think they have a great-looking team. They're fun to watch. They're exciting. The complementary pieces like Ben Rockefeller, senior on this team, solid player who can contribute points and get some rebounds. And Jordan Harris is a big body. He missed their opener, recovering from a hand injury. But big body inside. Now they're missing that big guy, that Jordan Amel, and really nobody. Gananda has a good big guy. But in Wayne County has that dominant center. And, so that's one piece I think that they're kind of missing, but great guard play and fun team to watch. Justice Smith, Corral Kelly, a couple of sophomores, Devin Franklin, Rockefeller. One guy that could really help contribute is they got a big guy, Seth Van Buskirk. That's Adam Van Buskirk's brother. Adam was a senior last year. Adam made that trip to Glens Falls too. Made a lot of big shots for him on that run. They call him the Busky Van Buskirk. I can't get that straight, but he's a guy who can step up his game and provide some inside scoring for him without a doubt. So be fun to watch Lions going forward. It's going to be a great year. Lions Clyde, we're going to have those games twice on Finger Lakes, one at Lions and at Clyde. And I think the game at Clyde is going to be a boys-girls doubleheader, so that'll be fun. And then the game at Lions may be at the community center. I haven't heard any official on that, but it's one thing when it's at the Atwood. That's a crazy atmosphere, but a lot more people can fit into the community center, and they'll fill it for Clyde Lions. So we'll see if they end up having that at the Lions Community Center or at the Atwood. So we got to still have a lot to get to here tonight on the show. And before we move on, I want to play this interview we had with Darren Preston, only because, like I said, this guy coaches a lot of the upperclassmen who impact players, the best players in the league that we cover. He coaches and has coached for 5-6 years on the same AAU team, Central Western. So let me cue that up, and let's hear from Darren Preston.
Coach, a lot of the guys we cover. I really got a chance to see you guys play in Cortland in the spring in that Cortland tournament.
Yep.
And it's a lot of fun and you were there too, Mike. Yeah. It's just like an all-star team. Like, we don't get to see an all-star game except for the exceptional senior game, but you're talking about you had Jose Santel, Tyler Norris, Nate Beard was on that team, Taylor Clements, Jake Mean, and others I'm forgetting. Who am I forgetting?
Well, you're forgetting my son.
Yeah, your son.
Isaiah Preston from Penfield.
Yeah. Yep.
Tom Roski from Greece Odyssey. Who am I forgetting? Zach Dormer. Zach Dormer from Naples.
Yeah. Moisman or what's that kid? Moisman or
Tyler Norris from Northrop.
From Gananda.
Oh yeah, Enrique Mossman. Yeah. You guys would call him Mosman, but that's
it's
okay.
Mossman.
Yep.
Okay, I'll make that note. So what I'm impressed by is the commitment that these kids have to the game. They're playing year-round now, and watching some of these AAU games, they go hard. I mean, it's just
they really do.
Fun. It's fun to watch. So what do you try to do as a coach of that program? Like, what's the purpose of AAU basketball for anybody who's watching that doesn't really get to see a lot of it?
Well, what we are is a developmental AAU program. We're not the top-notch AAU programs that the kids are going to Syracuse and some of the D1 programs. But all of those guys that you named, I've coached them for 5 years. So we're like a family. We teach fundamentals. You have to drop your ego, if you even have one, at the door, and you think team first. You have to think team first and share the basketball, play great defense, and become a family. And that's what we have. That's what we've done for the last 5 years. And the guys have been pretty successful.
Absolutely. So use a good example. These guys that you've been coaching now, most of them will be leaving. A lot of them will be leaving now. So, I mean, number one, as a coach, your son's a senior?
No, my son's a junior.
Junior. So how long are you going to continue to do it?
Well, the one thing with me is I love teaching.
Yeah.
I love teaching the young kids the game of basketball. I'm a basketball junkie. You can't play it anymore. Used to play it all the time. So now I like to
we'll get
teach
to
it.
that. We'll get to that.
So I actually have a younger team right now,
an
8th grade team that consists of 6 kids from Lyons, 4 kids from Auburn, New York, and then 1 kid from Clyde, Savannah. So
when you coach that younger group then, and then they morph into your older team, so you always –
that's the goal. That's the goal, to do that. The older kids, like I said, I've had those guys for 5 years, and they play together. They love playing together. So we try to do the same thing with the younger guys to keep them out of trouble, be good role models to the young kids. And like I said, I love teaching them. So
I'll tell you, because I hear nothing but great things about you. And I was always most impressed. I mean, I knew Jake Mean from over in Minders better than anybody that's played for you before. But, you're practicing a lot, too. A lot of these AAU teams just showing up on the weekends, and that's a fun weekend thing. But these guys are working hard.
Well, the one thing about me is we're required at Central Western under Coach Rich Hill is to only practice on Thursdays. Yeah. But he allows me the latitude to be able to practice twice a week. Because if it was up to me, I'd practice 3 days a week. And the Lyons Community Center under Cesar Ortiz, they allow us to practice there almost any time I want. So what I usually do is have the young kids practice first, and then I have the older guys practice second. So we're practicing about twice a week, and it's usually 100% participation.
How's your son doing this year? What's the team look like in Penfield?
Penfield should be a pretty strong team. They're kind of young. Like I said, he's a junior. This is his 2nd year playing varsity basketball. So we got our fingers crossed that we're going to have a pretty good competitive team this year.
So I got another question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hogging the airways here.
I'm enjoying it.
We kind of talked about it before, but you got a great reputation for coaching. The master of the quick,
I appreciate that.
Quick hitter. I was talking to somebody who said, you want to see somebody coach who knows at the top of his head. He's probably got 100 quick hitters in his head for any game situation. So I said, why don't we see him out here coaching some of these schools? Or, I mean, you got to be being approached.
Is
it of interest?
It is something that's a dream, actually, of mine. And I started taking my coaching classes last winter, and I finished my first certificate, and I'm going to continue doing that. The tough thing about it is if I did coach a team right now, it'd be hard to watch Isaiah. Once Isaiah is gone, hopefully one of these high school teams will give me an opportunity. I would love to do it because I'd love to teach and, give the knowledge that I have attained over the years.
Yeah. Now, real quick, Mike, we got about a minute 30. You remember when Darren played for Lyons, right?
Well, I'm older than Darren, but I've heard great things about how awesome you were over in Lyons.
Well, I appreciate that. I played under the great Dean Schott. We had some pretty good teams, and pretty much he was like a father figure to me. Everything that he would teach and us in practice is what I've learned over the years. And one of the things with coaching that I think you have to do is never close your mind. Always have your mind, or in life in general, but always have your mind open to learn new things. So,
well, Darren, appreciate you stopping by the booth.
Appreciate you guys having me.
You guys do for basketball.
Thanks a lot.
For all these players we cover, a lot of it, what we see is a result of your work with them. So
I appreciate that.
Some schools going to be lucky to have you someday.
Well, I tell you what, thanks for doing all you guys do for the boys.
So we're going to step aside for about 60 seconds. We'll be back with second half action here from Waterloo at the Hall of Fame Classic.
So there you have it. Pretty cool talking to a guy like that. We cover all the teams and all the players, and he's got a bunch of them. He knows them intimately. He's coached them. He's helped them develop. What we see on the court, a lot of it has to do with, his teaching. So we're going to tap into Darren Preston multiple times this year. And, he may be coaching in a few years somewhere here in the Wayne Finger Lakes. But great talking to him. And that's one of the great things about when we get out in the gyms and we get to do these, especially these triple headers and quadruple headers and double. We get to talk to people in between games and halftime of games. And it's great to get the different perspectives and see all the different personalities that make up the whole fabric of local basketball here. So We have about, 10 minutes left. Still a lot to get to here on the show. It was a pretty busy week, and a lot of great individual performances so far this year. This is a feature we're going to come back to a few times over the course of the season. We're going to take a look at the top individual performances. So far to date, that 32-point game by Derek Chance in double overtime versus World of Inquiry tops the points chart with 32. Now, Bryce Burry, 31. He only had one overtime. Maybe if there was a second overtime in that game, he would have had more than 31. Tyler Norris only needed regulation to score 29, and if you look down there to the rebounds, he had 16 rebounds that same game. I think Coach Zach Young, was scouting that game, and he texted me that Tyler Norris was on a mission, and he was. 29 points, 16 rebounds, and a big win for the Cougars over Sodas. And then also in that double overtime game, Drew Carnevale putting up 29 points. And Tyler Tyson had 23 against North Rose at the Chiropractic College. Nick Klein put up 23 on Gananda in a loss. And Corell Kelly in that final on Saturday night, 23 points. He's the only sophomore on this list. And then Jake Mean, a couple of 15-point rebound games. Bragan Passamonte for Romulus had 15 boards. Bryce Beechler had 15 boards against Mid-Lakes. And then for the assists, 7's the high. Come on, guys. You can be a little more unselfish out there. We can beat that. 7 assist games from Jake Mean, the big man. And then Marcus Chance had 7. And so far, our top 3-point game comes from Patrick Geithner, 7 threes. Not bad in 32 minutes against World of Inquiry. So we'll come back to that every couple weeks and update you on that. But it's a little disappointed during that Waterloo game. We hoped to get Joe Spazzato up in studio, but we didn't. And we had prepared this photo that I got to show you right now. There's Coach Spazzato on the far right of your screen, left in the photo perspective. Don't know who the other two guys are, but they have pretty sweet mustaches. But Coach Spazzato looking ready to go. So didn't want to waste that. It's hilarious. Let's get to the power rankings. Some movement this week in the power rankings. Newark stays at number 1. Even though they lost to JD, Minders is 3-0, 4-0, 3-0, 4-0. Minders 4-0. They play Monday night against Red Creek too, and a big win against Clyde. But we're gonna settle this one Friday night when the two meet. Clyde does move up to 3. That is a big win over World of Inquiry. That's a really good team. That's a big win, and it propelled them up to 3. Their only loss, of course, coming to Minders. Wayne, we saw them in action. Looks like they got a lot of interchangeable parts to go along with Zenilovich. They're up to 4. Lyons up to 5 with that tournament victory. Still interested to see them with a more true test. They're 4-0. Weedsport was a decent team. Palmac drops to 6 with that loss to Canandaigua. Now they'll have a chance real soon to climb back up there with some tough league games starting up. Mid-Lakes at 7. ER jumps up from 9 to 8. Penn Yan dropped out. Marcus Whitman dropped out. And in their place, Bloomfield and Dundee. Bloomfield, impressive in that overtime loss to Mid-Lakes. And then a big statement win over Honeoye to start their league season. And Dundee 2-0 in the league already. So there you go. There's the updated power rankings. We'll get the votes in and shuffle them up again next Sunday night. On the girls' side of things, the girls' Super 6 got South Seneca staying at number 1. They had a great matchup against Palmac this week. It was in Palmac, and they were trailing 13-10, 15-10. They were trailing after the first quarter. Then they come back with a huge second quarter. I think they outscored them 16-3. And pretty much cruised to victory. That's a Class C3 school, I think. South Seneca C3 against a B school. So South Seneca stays at number 1. Minders had a good week. They absolutely lit up Rochester Prep 67-9 or something like that. Geneva had a couple losses this week. They dropped down against tougher competition they're probably going to see in league. And Wayne, of course, always up there. Gananda 6. Bloomfield just outside. The Bloomfield girls just outside. But there's some big games coming up this week, so we'll keep an eye on the girls as best we can as well. Speaking of the week ahead, a lot of games on tap. Starting off on Monday, Red Creek's at Minders. So Nick Klein coming to Arthur L. Baker Gymnasium. Tyler Norris heading to Clyde. That'll be a good one. On Tuesday night, well, you got Rochester Academy at East Rochester. Then Tuesday night, UPrep at number 1 Newark. Newark loves to schedule these tough early season games. We'll see how they do on Tuesday night ahead of that game against Minders. Dundee's at South Seneca at the Jack Guinan. HAC at Red Jacket. Honeyway at Marcus Whitman. Should be a good one. Romulus at Bloomfield in the West. Wednesday night, Pal Mac hosts a tough Institute of Technology Syracuse team. Penn Yan's at Wellsville. Now, they don't have Liam Ebert anymore down in Wellsville. Or Bradley Cooper. I can't. That's an actor. But we'll see how they do. Penn Yan does against Wellsville, 2-time sectional defending champions. Minders at Greece Olympia. Marion at East Rochester. Sodus at Gananda. Williamson at Red Creek. And then moving on in the week, we've got Bloomfield at HAC. Marcus Whitman at Dundee. That'll be a dandy. In the West, Red Jacket at Honeyway. South Seneca at Naples. Newark Minders Friday night. 1-2 at the Arthur L. Baker Gymnasium. Live on FL1 Sports. Matt Verke and Dave Barnick on the call for that one. And, there it is. It's going to be a good one. As good as it gets for an early December game. And so then also to round out the week, Midlakes at Bath Haverling, Palmac at Hornell, Clyde Savannah at Gananda. Clyde Savannah hitting the road to Gananda. That's a tough place to play with the Dub squad up there in Gananda. The Blue Panthers, big game in Wayne County there. East Rochester at Lyons. That's another big one too. That's the first true test for Zach Young's Lions team. Red Creek at Marion. Then Saturday, Attica at Penn Yan, Geneva, Canandaigua. So Friday night, ton of big-time games on tap. We're going to keep an eye on all of them while we're live in Seneca Falls. Definitely want to keep tabs on that Clyde-Gananda game and that East Rochester Lions game in Wayne County. So I also want to remind you that this week is the deadline to sign up for the It's a Wonderful Run 5K in Seneca Falls. I know a lot of you folks that watch this show run in that race. December 8th, which is Thursday, is the deadline for online registrations. After that, you're going to stand in line race day. So go to itsawonderfulrun5k.com and sign up for that one. They're supporting our coverage this year, and we really appreciate it. We can't wait for Saturday. So Friday night, Seneca Falls, Arthur L. Baker, Minders, Newark, and then Saturday, It's a Wonderful Run. So big weekend in Seneca Falls, the whole It's a Wonderful Life Festival kicking off. So, hey, thanks for spending the last hour with me here on a Sunday night. Had a lot of fun, a lot of action to recap, and really can't wait for another great week of high school basketball here on Finger Lakes 1. Join us Friday night live at 7 o'clock, Minders, Newark. Mark your calendar. Set yourself a reminder. It's going to be great. You can watch it on your phone, your tablet, your desktop, or your television. So I'm Jim Sinacropi saying we'll see you next week, same time Sunday night, for another episode of the Upstate Hoops Podcast.